And what are you full of? Love or shh? We're talking about pouring into you. Do you pour into your partners, your relationships? Do you get poured into? We're going to talk about the definition of reciprocity. We're going to talk about how people drain our energy and how people pour into us. The definition of reciprocity: the practice of exchanging things with others for mutual benefit. Mutual benefit. Both you and them. Especially privileges granted to another. The treats, the extras, the things that we really like and we really want. If we can be reciprocal with those, we are in a balanced reciprocal relationship. So that's the definition. Draining energy, it is when you are giving of yourself, your heart, your soul, your mind, your support, and you're not getting anything back. And pouring into you is when you are getting the support, the heart, the soul, the mind from your relationship. And if both are pouring in, then you don't get drained. You may get drained at times, but over time you balance those drains and you put the stops gaps in so you continue to rise each other up and pour into each other. Because that's what pouring into each other is. And then you can be full of love and support. And if you're just draining people, you're just full of shit. Because you're taking. And there are some that more often take. There's no always, there's no never. But some more often take than they will give. And those are the people that drain us. And they become toxic and difficult to manage. So we need to balance that with people who pour into us and people we pour into, because we get something from pouring into others also. We get feeling good. We get feeling helpful. We get feeling support. But if we don't get that back, all we get is drained. Healthy relationships have semi-permeable boundaries, but boundaries nonetheless, where I start and you begin. What's okay with me and what's not okay with me. And the flexibility to the people we care about the most to allow them into those boundaries, to tear down our walls, to be more vulnerable, to allow more support and to give more support. One-sided is not a relationship. One-sided is a recipe for destruction. It's a recipe for draining all energy from one part of the relationship, draining all health, draining all wealth, draining all thrive and life out of someone. And the other one feeding off of them like a parasite to be able to continue to live. But they only live temporarily off of them and have to move on to somebody else. Because if you live as a parasite, then you have to keep feeding off of others because you can only suck each person till they're dry, till they have nothing else to offer you. Sometimes that takes minutes, sometimes that takes years. But if we recognize that that's happening and it's not reciprocal, then we can have healthier relationships, back and forth relationships that are supporting each other to build on each other. Not tit for tat, because tit for tat is taking away a thing from each other. It's going back and forth, tearing each other apart, like beta fish and like predators and parasites of each other, to feed off each other till there's nothing left to give. Instead, having two-sided, back and forth relationships where you ask for what you need and you give what you can, and the other does the same. So how do you do that? Well, identify, become aware, and identify your strengths and the strengths of those you're in relationship with. And point those out, compliment each other on those strengths, build each other up on those, be able to recognize and give back and forth to each other the things that you each feel strong about, and what you don't feel strong about, try to build up and point out little moments where you see some strength or some growth, like a flower that needs water to grow. The water is the support, the compliments, the praise that you give each other on the areas of ourselves that we don't have a lot of. That's how they grow. If you don't know what the strengths are, go on a strength treasure hunt. Search for them, because if you care about that person, you will find the treasure in them. You will find their strengths. You will find their core values of gratitude, of compassion, of love, of strength. Or maybe they're just good at gardening or making a particular stir fry of a sauce that you like. Or maybe they are just good at sitting back and listening, or sitting back and not getting in the way. But there are strengths in everybody, and we see them more clearly the more we look for them and see our partners and our relationships as treasures. Not just people who have treasures, but treasures themselves. And that's what you hunt for in your treasure hunt. Learn the skills of affirmations of yourself and affirming your relationships. We all need value, and we all need validation of who we are that's positive, who we are that grows, who we are that changes, who we are that becomes more fully vulnerable and more accepting and more loving and more growth-oriented. Because the affirmations are what helps us grow. So find those treasures, affirm those treasures, and pass them back and forth between each other. That's how our relationships grow. Stronger, tighter, and more confident together. So what did we talk about today? Today we talked about pouring into each other to support each other and build each other up. The way to do that? Through reciprocity, back and forth, support in healthy relationships, and making sure to have boundaries, not sides. Sides creates contention and arguments. Boundaries creates value and respect for ourselves and for each other. So identify your boundaries, try to build reciprocal relationships, and pour into each other. And hopefully this pours into you also. And if you share this with someone, hopefully you are pouring into them, not just asking them to pour into you, so that you can all be more relationship ready. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and come on back next time. Thanks for watching.